Hey there, and welcome to Crochet Therapy. I'm Barbara, your host for this episode, this tutorial in the 12 weeks of Crochet Christmas. This is episode number 5 in that series, and this is the hooded scarf. And I am in love with this. It is soft, it's squishy. The pattern naturally lends itself to have a really beautiful border around the edges of the scarf. And look, I added a pom-pom. You don't have to add the pom-pom. I just wanted to, just to have a little whimsy in my life. Now this scarf you can have pulled forward a little more on your head, depending on how cold it is where you are. If you're wearing a sweatshirt and you just need a little bit of something to keep your neck warm and to keep the wind out of your ears, this is really nice. You can have it, you can wear this under a coat. You can keep both sides straight down, tuck it, and put your coat on. And it would keep you nice and warm. Or you can flip one or two sides around. You can even wrap it completely around and tuck it under and wear it that way. And I would tuck this side under, but I have my microphone there and I want you to be able to hear me. So if you wanted to, you could tuck it under and just wear it that way. And it's just super cute. I love it. It's so fast and easy, and you are not going to believe how quick this works up. You're also not going to believe that it is a 2-row pattern, 2-row repeat pattern. However, each row is the same. The only difference in it is which stitch you start with on each row. However, each row you do exactly the same. So you are not going to have any problem with this. Let's get started on the tutorial, and I hope that you like it. Here's what you'll need for the hooded scarf. You will need a size 4 weight yarn, and I am using Hobby Lobby brand. I love this yarn. Super soft, super savings. This is a print. Now the print Hobby Lobby, I love this yarn, comes in a smaller skein than the solid color. So this one has 252 yards. You will need approximately 600 yards to make the adult version of this hooded scarf. So I have 3 skeins of this yarn, so that will be plenty for this scarf. You will also need a pair of scissors. You will need your hook, and I am using a 7mm hook, and this is the Clover brand, my favorite hook. And you'll need a yarn needle for the very end for weaving in your ends, and possibly a stitch marker. If you do like to use stitch markers, you'll want to have one of those on hand. This is a very easy stitch, so it's really not difficult, and you may or may not need a stitch marker. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to make a slip knot, and we are going to chain a total of 34. Okay, slip knot. And chain 34. Okay, once you have your chain of 34, we are on to our foundation row. In the foundation row, what you will do is double crochet in the 4th chain from the hook. So we never count the loop that is on our hook, and we count 1, 2, 3, 4, and in the 4th chain from the hook we will double crochet. Okay. The next stitch we will do is 1 double crochet in the next chain. All right. We will skip the next 2 chains, 1, 2, and in the third chain from our work, we will place 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This will make our first shell. Okay, 5 double crochets. After we get the 5 double crochets made, we will skip the next 2 chains and place 1 double crochet in each of the next 2 chains. So we skip 2 chains. Now we're working in this one. This is 1 chain, this is 2 chains, and we place 1 double crochet in the next chain, and 1 double crochet in the next chain. Okay, so this is what it looks like so far. Next, we are going to repeat from skip the first 2 chains. We're going to repeat this pattern. Skip 2 chains, 5 double crochets in the next chain, skip 2 chains, then double crochet, double crochet. Skip 2 chains, 1, 2, 5 double crochets in the next chain, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Skip 2 chains, 1, 2. In the next chain, 1 double crochet. In the next chain, 1 double crochet. That's the pattern all the way down, and I'll work it with you. Skip 2 chains, 5 double crochets in the third chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Skip 2 chains, 1, 2. Put 1 double crochet in the next chain. And 1 double crochet in the next chain. Okay. Skip 2, 1, 2. 5 double crochets in the next chain. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, the next is skip 2, and we do 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet, and in this last and final stitch, 1 double crochet. So our foundation row on either side has the equivalent of 3 double crochets. This chain right here, when we skipped all of those stitches, this counts as a double crochet. This counts, this is a double crochet, double crochet. Here's our shell, skip 2, double crochet in the next 2 stitches, skip 2, shell, skip 2, double crochet in the next 2 stitches, and so on. And at the very end, it matches the other side. We have the shell and 3 double crochets. Okay, so both ends are equivalent, and that's important. That was our foundation. Now we will move on to row number 1. Okay. Row number 1, we turn our work and we chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And this counts as our first double crochet. So the double crochet that we did last on that row, this one is right on top of that, and that counts as our first double crochet. We skip the first double crochet and we put 5 double crochets between the next 2 double crochets. So this we skip the first double crochet and we put 5 double crochets in this 2 double crochet cluster. That's what we're calling this. If you'll look down the row, you have a shell, a double crochet cluster, and a shell. We will be working in that double crochet cluster. So this first one is a little different because we did chain 3, counts as our first double crochet, keeps our border nice and straight. We will go into this double crochet cluster and place 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So you see how that works? That double crochet cluster now has a shell in the top of it. Okay, now we are going to put 1 double crochet into our shell. We're actually going to put 2 double crochets, but the first double crochet that we put in our shell has 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3 is the middle shell, or the middle stitch in our shell, 4 and 5. So we are going to locate that middle stitch in our shell, and we will put 1 double crochet in the space of that, on the right side of that middle stitch in the middle of our shell, and 1 double crochet on the other side. And this will be forming our double crochet cluster, just like we did on the foundation row. Okay, so every time you come to a shell, you will put a double crochet cluster. You skip the first 2 double crochets, and we're working in the spaces. We are not working in the stitches. You will put a double crochet in the space between the second and third double crochet of that shell, and then you'll go into the very next space between the third and the fourth double crochet of that shell, and you'll place another double crochet. That's our double crochet cluster. Okay. All right. And then you will go straight into the double crochet cluster from the previous row, and you will place 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And this is the pattern that we will follow. Okay. The next section has a shell. Skip the first 2 double crochets and put 1 double crochet in that next space. Go into the next space and put 1 more double crochet. Okay. Find the double crochet cluster and place 5 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Our pattern is coming together. Okay, so now our next area has a shell, so we know that we skip the first 2 double crochets in that shell and we place a double crochet in the space, and then we go into the next space between the third and fourth double crochets in that shell, and we put our cluster. Next we go to the cluster right here and we put 5 double crochets. 3, 4, and 5. Our first row is coming together. Okay. Now we have a shell that we're working into. Skip the first 2 double crochets. Put 1 double crochet in the space between the second and the third double crochet. Go to the next space and put 1 more double crochet. That is our double crochet cluster. Okay. Now we have the next double crochet cluster. We'll put 5 double crochets in that. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. And now in the top of this chain 3, 1, 2, 3, we are going to insert our hook, and I like to get 2 stitches just to make it sturdy. Oops, sorry. We are actually going to put a double crochet in there. So now that I've got that stitch ready, okay, yarn over and go in. I forgot to yarn over, and put 1 double crochet in that last stitch right there. So our sides are always going to have a double crochet. No matter what row we're on, it will have the equivalent of a double crochet. Okay? All right, so that was row 1. We have row 2 to do, and then we will have a 2-row repeat. Row 1 and row 2 we will repeat all the way up, and it is so fun and easy to remember. This is going to be one of your favorite stitches, I promise. Okay, so we're going to want to turn our work, and the first thing we do is chain 3. Let me tighten this a little bit. 1, 2, 3, and the first chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. We will double crochet in the space before and 1 double crochet space after the center double crochet of our shell. So just as in the row before, 1, 2, this space right here, we're going to put 1 double crochet. The next space, 1 double crochet. See how easy this is? The only difference is the order of when you start your shells and your 2 double crochet clusters. That's the only difference, but the method on every row is exactly the same. Okay, the next thing we have is a double crochet cluster, the 2 double crochets together. We will place 5 double crochets in that space. 3, 4, and 5. Whoop. There we go. What do you think we're going to do next? We're looking at the next stitch that we're going to be working into, and it is a shell, and you are correct. We are going to skip the first 2 double crochets, and we are going to perform a double crochet cluster, putting 1 double crochet in this stitch, in this space, excuse me, not the stitch, and 1 double crochet into this space. Okay. Next thing we have is a double crochet cluster. We're going to place 5 double crochets in that space. Are you getting it yet? 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Isn't this pretty? And it's such an easy stitch to remember. The only thing you're going to want to make sure when you're on your sides that you get them straight and that you keep it straight. Now, one thing that you noticed on the completed work is that it does have a natural wave to it. So don't be concerned about that because it's not going to be completely straight, but you will have a natural wave to it, which is one of the reasons why we don't really need to do a border, because it just has just a gentle sloping. Uh-oh, look at this. We have a shell. Remember what we're going to do in here? That's right. Skip the first 2. And in that space, 1 double crochet. In the next space, 1 double crochet. What about this? What are we going to do here? That's right. We're going to put 5 double crochets between that 2 crochet cluster, 2 double crochet cluster. There we go. 5. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It's coming together. Okay, so because I just did a shell, I know that the next thing I'm going to have to do is a 2 double crochet cluster. 1, 2. And it's easy for me to remember because how to do it, because there are 5 double crochets in that shell, and basically I'm going on either side of this center double crochet and putting a double crochet on either side of that one. Okay, and here we are with our double crochet cluster. Got another 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. The next thing I see is a shell. 1, 2. Going to put a double crochet in that space. Go to the next space and put a double crochet. And then in this last chain 3, I'm going to go into the top of that chain 3 and I'm going to put a double crochet. And I always like to get 2 loops because I just feel like it's a little more sturdy. There we go. Okay. Now we're back to row 1. I'm going to do row 1 and row 2 again with you. And then I'll leave you to your own. Basically, we do this stitch until we get our scarf long enough to go over our head. And then what I did was I put the middle of the scarf on my head and I had it go down in front of my body, and I just eyeballed it until I was comfortable with how long it was. So basically with this, you can make this as long or as short as you like. Okay? Now the multiples on this scarf is a multiple of 7 plus 6. So this one is wide enough for an adult head. If you wanted to make this for a child, you would do a multiple of 7 and then add 6. So basically our chain was 28 and then I added 6. So that's why we started out with 34. So you're going to want to start out with lower than 28, maybe 21 would be better, and then add 6. Or for a small child, I don't know, you may even want to try a 14 and then add 6 and try that if you want to make a smaller one. So you just basically keep going until you get to the length that is comfortable for whoever you are making this for. So let's do row 1 one more time. This is a row 1 and 2 repeat. Let's do row 1 one more time, and we'll do row 2 one more time. And then we will talk about how to connect the hood. Okay, row 1, we chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and that counts as our first double crochet. Now, the first thing that we're coming to is a cluster. So we know that we're going to put 5 double crochets into that cluster. Okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Here we have a shell coming up. We're going to go into in between the second and third double crochet and put one more double crochet, and then here a double crochet. Okay, Now we have another shell cluster. I mean, not a shell cluster, a double crochet cluster. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, this is row 1, and it's really just a repeat. The only difference is what starts the row, whether it is a cluster or a shell. Honestly, that's the only difference between row 1 and row 2. The method is the same. The good news is that you will not go 4 or 5 or 6 rows ahead and discover a mistake, because as we are putting our stitches into the prior row, we will automatically know. Let's say you forget to put 5 double crochets and you only put 4. You're going to know right away when you're doing that. So yes, I may have to frog this and go frog this if I had actually forgotten it, but I didn't. But we're not going to have to frog rows and rows and rows. So that is a wonderful thing. Okay, now we have a double crochet cluster. Okay, and now what are we going to do at the end? That's right. We're going to put a double crochet in the top of this chain 3. 1, 2, let's see, right here. Okay, that's row 1. Now we're going to turn our work and do row 2. And how easy is this stitch? This stitch is so easy and it's gorgeous. It's just gorgeous. It's called the Snapdragon Shell Stitch, and I just love it. Okay, chain 3. And then basically let's just look and see what's the first thing. And the first thing here is a shell. So I'm going to go 1, 2, go between the second and third double crochet, and I'm going to place a double crochet. Go into the next space and place a double crochet. Okay, the next thing is a double crochet cluster. 5 double crochets go in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I'm going to put my double crochet cluster in this shell, and then I'm going to put my shell in this double crochet cluster. Are you getting the pattern? I hope so. It's super easy. And it's fun and it's relaxing. You just have a little bit of counting to do. All right, now we have our last shell and we're going to put a double crochet in that space, go to the next space, put a double crochet, and we are going to double crochet into the top of the chain 3. There we go. All right. Well, look at that. That is our stitch. And it really is pretty. It really is just so pretty in person. I wish that you could actually reach through the screen and feel how soft and squishy this is. I would love to make this into a blanket, especially, you know, a baby blanket or an Afghan for the back of your couch. It's just gorgeous. Remember that our multiples are a multiple of 7 plus 6. Okay. So on my purple scarf, the measurement of this, I went about 84 inches long for this scarf. And what I did was I folded it in half, and this is the center of the fold. I took my hook and I went into an actual stitch on both sides, tried to get as equivalent as I could. There's a little stitch right there, which is good. And so I am going to make a slip knot. And place it on my hook. And pull it through. Okay. Once I pull that through, I'll chain 1. And then what I'm going to do is go down the edge, grabbing what I can. Now, if I come to a part where it has 2, chain 3 sections, then I will put 2 single crochets in there. I'm going to single crochet down the side approximately 10 inches long for the back of an adult head. Okay, and so that's what I'm going to do. Now, here's the thing. You can make this measurement anything you need to make it. That you are able to customize this to match the needs of whoever it is that you are making this for. So I just wanted to make sure on mine that it went down to cover my neck. If I'm going to wear a hooded scarf, then I do want my neck to stay warm. Okay. And I'm just going through and finding, every now and then I find a stitch because I don't want to just go into the loops, but I am going into the loops. Okay. But every now and then I want to grab a stitch. And I'm going to go ahead and go all the way down until I get to approximately 10 inches for me. You may be more comfortable with 8 inches or 9 inches. You may be more comfortable with a longer hood in the back. So put it on your head, put it on your recipient's head, or if you don't have the recipient with you, then you know, you can just kind of go by your measurements and adjust for that, and go down and connect these at the back. Now this is going to be the inside, so when we turn it, this will be the inside, and so you won't see this ridge. Okay, so I'm going to keep going until I get to approximately 10 inches, and I'll meet you back here. Okay, I backed the screen up just a little bit to make it easier to see. So this is our scarf. This is the length of our scarf right here. Here is the back of the head where I crocheted up 10 inches and connected it. Okay, and right here is where I want to put my pom-pom, right in this corner here, but kind of towards the back of the corner. Okay, I have 2 long strings from when I made that pom-pom. So what I'm going to do is take my yarn needle and thread up one and go into one of the stitches and make sure that I get into a thread on one side, and then I'm going to thread up the other piece of yarn, and I'm going to go into the other side just a little bit of ways, but enough, and go into that yarn there, and then I'm going to turn it inside out and I'm going to tie it, and then I can weave in those ends inside so that they're not seen. But this way I have a good knot on this pom-pom, and so that's how I'm going to do it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you back. So what did you think about the pattern? It's really pretty, isn't it? I love this pattern. Now this was some yarn that I got on my Hobby Lobby run that I filmed, and I made everybody sick because it was like a roller coaster. I apologize for doing that. But this is one that I showed actually on that, but I didn't get it. And then my sweet sister-in-law went to Hobby Lobby a week later and messaged me and asked me, did I want any yarn? And I said, yes, please get that one that's called Be Still. And that's what this is. It is the I Love This yarn from Hobby Lobby, and it is in the colorway called Be Still. And I just think that this is so pretty. It just has, you know, a really soft minty green and then a darker green throughout, and I can't wait to make this scarf in this color for a friend of mine who is very special to me, and I can't wait to do that because she loves green. I'm not going to say your name, but if you're watching, you might know who you are. Anyway, I love this scarf. So fast, so easy. The repeat is so easy, and you can sit and watch TV and not think twice about it. So anyway, I hope that you enjoy the pattern. I hope that you have a great day, and stay safe, be kind, and get hooking.